Emmy. Hi, Emma. I just read this really interesting story and I can't wait to share it with you. Awesome, tell me. So, there was this emperor named King Darius who appointed 120 princes to help govern his kingdom, and he had 3 main presidents overseeing them. One of those presidents was Daniel, a Jewish captive. King Darius really liked Daniel because he was so trustworthy and had an amazing spirit. But guess what? The other presidents and princes got super jealous. Wow, that sounds intense. What happened next? They tried to find a reason to accuse Daniel, but he was just too good, he never did anything wrong. So, they decided to trick him using his faith. They convinced the king to make a law saying that for 30 days, no one could pray to anyone except the king. If someone disobeyed, they'd be thrown into the lion's den. Did the king actually agree to that? Yep, he did. But when Daniel heard about the decree, he didn't hesitate. He went home, opened his windows, and prayed 3 times a day, just like he always did. The jealous guys saw him and reported it to the king. The king felt awful but couldn't change the law, so he had to throw Daniel into the lion's den. Before doing that, he told Daniel that he hoped his God would save him. A stone was rolled in front of the den, and it was sealed. That's so sad. I know, right? The king couldn't eat or sleep that night, and no music could cheer him up. Early the next morning, he rushed to the den and called out for Daniel, asking if God had saved him. And guess what? Daniel replied that God had sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths, and he was perfectly fine. No way. That's incredible. The king was overjoyed and had Daniel brought out of the den. He then ordered that the jealous presidents and princes be thrown into the lion's den instead, along with their families. They didn't stand a chance against the lions. After that, the king declared that everyone should fear the God of Daniel, because he is the living God, and his kingdom lasts forever. Daniel went on to prosper during King Darius' reign. Wow, what a story. Right? You know, this story made me think about how amazing it is that King Darius chose Daniel based purely on his abilities and character. It really sets an example for leaders to recognize talent, no matter where it comes from. Absolutely, and isn't it impressive that even at his age, Daniel was still sharp and capable? For sure. He never made excuses or stumbled over his duties. It really shows us that those in public trust should always act responsibly and thoughtfully. We need to be careful and diligent so that we don't give anyone a reason to complain about us, especially in our faith. That's so true. But you know, the king made a pretty big mistake by signing the decree. Definitely. It's crucial for leaders to listen to their people and help them, but they should never put themselves in God's place. Expecting that kind of respect is just wrong. You know, those jealous princes and presidents really got the king to sign that decree by flattering him. It's interesting how when people indulge in their own pride, they end up creating a lot of trouble for themselves. Definitely. Sometimes those who flatter us become our biggest tormentors, and they're just leading us into a trap. Exactly. We often fall into these traps without thinking, and later we end up wishing we hadn't. It really shows why we should take a moment to think about our choices. For sure. Having a regular time for prayer is so important, not to constrain us, but to remind us. Even Daniel, a busy guy who served the public, made sure to set aside time for daily devotion. It's hard to believe others can ignore that when they have so much less on their plates. True. Daniel was well known for his prayers and the amazing results that came from them. He made prayer a priority every day, and through that, God truly blessed him. Right? When the decree came down, he didn't let any excuses stop him from praying. If there was ever a time to skip it, that would have been it. Absolutely, and Daniel didn't run away or hide, even knowing the law was after him. He chose to stand firm, wanting to honor God and show he'd put his duty to him above everything, even his life. So many people, even good ones, might think it wise to skip praying for those 30 days to avoid danger. They might say, I'll just pray more once the danger is over, or do it quietly somewhere else. But if he had, people might have thought he was just being cowardly, which wouldn't have honored God at all or encouraged his friends. Exactly. Daniel had so many eyes on him, So he had to be brave, especially knowing the law was targeted at him. Yes! It's not new for someone to be misjudged for faithfully following God, being seen as disobedient to authorities, even if they're living their life according to their faith. So true. Daniel respected God and was surely praying for the king and the kingdom, yet people twisted it to say he didn't care about the king. But we can always count on God to look after those who serve him. He'll always support us in our duties. Absolutely. Those who trust God with confidence while doing what's right will never regret it. He's always there to help. And look how beautifully it all turned out for Daniel. Not only was he saved, but he even got promoted. Right? Meanwhile, his enemies faced their own downfall. It's true that the righteous are saved in tough times, and the wicked end up facing the consequences instead. You got it.